And you can't have a global market and then 22 different accounting standards. It's inefficient at best.
Clear, accurate, consistent, and reliable accounting standards are necessary for investors to have the information necessary to make decisions.
The realities of globalization, the integration of the capital markets, and the emergence of IFRS as a viable and high-quality set of standards are changing the policy equation.
We shouldn't be looking at whether one set is better than the other, but what we ought to be doing is looking at them both and saying, how can we draw the best answer out of both of those standards to create one set of high-quality standards.
The accounting profession is in the midst of great change in our financial reporting system. U.S. adoption of International Financial Reporting Standards, or IFRS, is accelerating at a rapid pace. This is a time of significant and exciting opportunities for CPAs, both preparers of financial statements and those who audit them. The AICPA supports a single set of high-quality, comprehensive accounting standards to be used by public companies in preparing transparent and comparable financial reports throughout the world. The continuing move toward greater convergence with international standards should improve the efficiency and effectiveness of financial reporting in a global economy. We understand the significant changes convergence will bring to CPAs, and we want to give you an international perspective on some of the steps we should consider in preparing for this shift.
International financial reporting standards are gaining increasing momentum around the world. Nearly 100 countries, major trading partners in Europe, Asia, and the Americas, are focusing on IFRS. Late last year, the Securities and Exchange Commission allowed foreign companies to file in the U.S. using IFRS. The Financial Accounting Standards Board and the International Accounting Standards Board have been working to resolve the differences between U.S. generally accepted accounting principles and IFRS. They've made significant progress, but the work is not yet done to transition the U.S. towards IFRS.
We already have a tremendous influence on IFRS. Many of the base standards in IFRS were derived from U.S. standards. And the U.S. will continue to be a thought leader in how to develop new standards and how to apply those standards.
For multinational public companies, the implications of adopting IFRS will be significant. International financial reporting standards are more than an accounting issue. They are a business issue, bringing changes to nearly every aspect of a company's operations, from technology systems to tax reporting requirements to stock-based compensation accounting. These changes may eventually lower costs, streamline reporting, and allow for easier comparison of financial statements from companies around the world.
Once the transition has been made, I think that the world capital markets will benefit greatly from having a set of global standards that have comparability across the world. Now, in terms of how that will manifest itself, it should mean that transparency is greater. It should mean that people are able to move around the world, therefore you have mobility of talent. But hopefully as well, it will lead to a lower cost of capital across the world because people will be able to understand what they're investing in, and that should be good for us all.
It'll be a savings of some magnitude for us when we're able to keep books around the world in one way. Simpler from an auditing standpoint, simpler from my controllership standpoint. I only have to keep up with one set of accounting standards.
The harmonization of the process makes it easier for businesses to operate. The industry roundabout operating different standards for firms is very, very significant. This will take a significant burden off the operations of business.
But the road to implementation will not be without challenges.
Well, the biggest challenge is really change and the adaptation between the year just before the adoption of IFRS and year one.
It's a huge challenge for the internal financial people, for the preparers of accounts, also for the auditors, and also indeed for the professional bodies that support both people.
There are some legitimate concerns about moving U.S. public companies from GAAP over to IFRS. For example, one concern is that IFRS lacks certain industry-specific standards. The mutual fund industry is a good example of this. We got to remember also that those standards, those industry-specific standards, were put there for a good reason. Another concern is that accounting is just one part of the broader overall U.S. financial reporting system. The litigious environment and the regulatory environment are also parts of that overall system, and those are going to need to adapt if IFRS is going to be successful.
The AICPA will act as an advocate for CPAs, making sure that their concerns are heard by regulators and policymakers, and that the CPA is fully prepared to address the implications of convergence and adoption.
Globalization will only continue to accelerate, making the need for this greater than ever before. And the fact that IFRS is well on its way to becoming the global language which the rest of the world uses means that we here in America have to get with it and try to do our best to integrate the standards.
We recognize our responsibility to educate our members, to do what we need to do to bring them along, to help them walk that journey that will be the new accounting environment of the future. And that includes working with those folks in academia, working with textbook authors, our own CPA exam to make sure that it begins to change.
Public companies are now beginning to grapple with this transition, but private companies may eventually also be driven in that direction by market forces. For CPAs, it's time to prepare for the changes ahead.
At this point, it's only natural to say, wow, what about me and all of this change? Well, as the professional home for all CPAs, the AICPA will help you. Our priority in the coming months will be making adoption of IFRS a success. The stage is truly set for a great progress towards these goals this year. Together, we have the opportunity to make significant, enduring change. And as CPAs, we can be proud that our commitment to our bedrock values of integrity, objectivity, and competence will always be a hallmark of the services we provide.